What's up, everybody, and thank you for listening to Mastering the Mindset. My name is Dariusdotch, and I'm an actor, hip-hop artist, and fitness and life coach. And I'm here to personally help you train and improve your mindset so that you can, 1, become the best version of yourself mentally, and 2, gain focus and motivation to be able to take action and achieve the success in life that you want and deserve. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel, and at the end of this episode, if you liked it, please share it with a friend or loved one or someone who would benefit from hearing this message. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm ready to go on this journey with you, and that journey begins now. All right, and welcome back to another episode. So today we're going to be talking about habits versus standards. And habits are the children of standards, and I'll explain that in a second. But standards are what you deem acceptable and fully unacceptable in your life. These are levels that you will never let yourself drop below, ever. These standards are directly tied to your identity and what you think about yourself. If you look at your bank account, you probably have around the same amount of money you've had in there for the past 5 years. Maybe you got a new job or come up on some money recently, but for the most part, there's a dollar amount that you've become used to seeing in your account. And when you go below or above that amount, that's either higher or lower than you're used to, above or below your standard. Like if a bill comes out of your account and you have a big unplanned expense hit you, then what happens is you kind of buckle up, right? You don't go out to eat as much. You don't go shopping, or you don't spend as much money online. Your budget becomes tighter until you feel safe again, until you get back to your normal money. Where your life currently is because of the standards you have for yourself. How you look, what you eat, what you wear, how your relationships are, how your body looks, where your bank account is at, where your business is at, how clean your house is. All these things are there, or the way they are, because of your standards. The standard that you will not drop below, which basically is like the ground floor. Now, there are levels above all of these. Those levels above it, to get to those, you're going to have to raise your standards. Quick example. I think it's safe to say that if you listen to this podcast, you won't go out and shoot up some heroin, right? The fact that you're listening to this thing means that you're actively trying to better yourself. You're trying to improve your mindset and the way you manufacture your personal growth. So more than likely, you won't go out and do heroin on the weekends. That is below your standards. But let's look at it in a more rational way. What if you're a person that is used to coming up just short of your goals? It's not uncommon for you to start on a goal and slowly and eventually not actually accomplish it fully. That is the standard you set for yourself. You become accustomed to the commonality of not finishing or completing goals or milestones that you want to hit. But what if you change that mindset? What if you told yourself, hey, I'm not ever going to not accomplish a personal goal. I'm never quitting before I complete this mission I'm on. I won't ever give up just a little too early. I'm done coming up just a little short. And how common is that? How common is it for people to start something? They get really motivated and excited in the beginning. They start a New Year's resolution. They start working out. They start working on a new business idea. And then eventually over time, they fizzle out. They don't complete it. They just give up. It happens, and it definitely happens in fitness. That's probably the most common area it shows up. Or what about this one? Is it your standard to wake up the very first time your alarm goes off in the morning, or do you hit snooze 3 times before waking up? That's a standard. Do you have the standard of when my alarm goes off, I'm getting my ass up and I do not go back in that bed? That is a standard. Now we can have and work on habits, and habits are important. But habits alone, they're not enough. Your habits are just the offspring of your standards. So if you have a habit of waking up early and having a morning routine, it's because you set a standard that I will wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I will wake up at 5 a.m. and get my day started. That is a standard. And the habit of the morning routine is an offspring of that standard. Your standards are actually more important than your habits. Your standards create your habits. So many times, and myself included, people want to have certain habits, but their standards aren't aligned properly. Like waking up in the morning. We know that we are at that stage in our lives where getting up early in the morning is the most beneficial. We know that's a habit that we should have, but a lot of times we don't have the standard to go to bed early enough. We don't have the standard to prepare things the day before or the night before. We don't always have the standard to actually get up when the alarm goes off. And yeah, while we would never do heroin, that's below our standard. But what if you use that same disgust for doing heroin? What if you use that same mental and emotional disgust of the idea of using heroin and apply that to the thought of sleeping in? What if you thought of sleeping in the same way you thought of trying heroin? What if you thought of that same rock bottom of sleeping in being the same thing as trying heroin for you? Just like your mindset has the standard that you wouldn't even think about doing heroin, what if you made your mindset feel the same way about giving up on a goal? What if you had the same idea, the same disgust you have toward the idea of trying heroin as the same for the feeling of not finishing something you started? What's up, what's up, what's up? I want to take a quick moment to say thank you so much for listening to this episode and to also let you know that this podcast is 100% donation driven, which means it's completely funded by you, the listener. So if you like the content I have to offer, I would love it if you can make a donation and you get to pick the amount. I left links in the description of the video as well as my homepage. You can choose which way benefits you the best to donate. And if you need more options, please feel free to email me at dariusdotch@gmail.com. That's DARIUSDOTCH@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much for being here, and let's get back to it. Let's think about workout and weight loss goals. And this might be hard to hear for some people, but I have to say it. You may want to lose weight, but what standards do you have when it comes to what you eat? What standards do you have when it comes to how hard you actually push yourself? How many times do you skip workouts? Just like if we were about to eat some food and it somehow fell and landed in the parking lot or in the dirt, you probably wouldn't eat it, right? No, that is a standard of not eating food off the ground. That's a line that you wouldn't go beneath. So just like you wouldn't eat food off the ground, you should have the same standard for eating McDonald's or fast food or super greasy food or just food in general that you know won't help you, because unfortunately, if you are, the habit of eating stuff that is bad for you is your standard. Same thing when it comes to actually working out. Do you miss days? Do you do the full workout? I know folks who go to the gym all the time. They have the habit of going 3-4 days a week, but their standard is bullshit. They don't actually push themselves, so they don't get results. Is your standard to do the minimum? Is your standard to start easing up once the work on that project you're working on gets tough? Is it your standard to start those lessons you wanted and eventually fizzle out and not go anymore? Is it your standard to plan to get work done, but you let your phone distract you for majority of the time? Is it your standard to go hard, to make sure that you're going to work hard at something no matter what? Or do you only push yourself to the minimal amount? Now, of course, we all mess up, especially with eating. I know I do. I mess up plenty of times. So I'm not trying to make you feel bad or guilty. And I damn sure have days where I don't work out, or I don't get the best workout in, or I don't feel motivated, or I have days when I'm not productive. We're human. Those moments will come. But when we get to the mental mindset that our standard is higher, that our standard is to never miss a workout, to never slip up on our diet, to never sleep in, to never give up on a goal, to never start a New Year's resolution and not stick to it. Once we get to that standard in our head and into our bodies, and we feel about them and dropping below them the same way about heroin, that's when you will really be able to make a change and you'll elevate yourself. You should always feel guilty about going below your standards. Think about times when you drop below your standards. How did it feel? Like shit? Like you were better than that? Did you regret it? More than likely, you thought long and hard before you did it again, right? That's if you ever did it again, because you went below your standards. So let's shift our mindsets. Habits are great. Habits are necessary, but habits alone aren't enough. Let's make our standards force us into growth. For example, lately my time and lack of time has really been a challenge with rehearsal, doing this podcast, trying to stay on top of my workout routine, making sure I stay on top of my lines for rehearsal, trying to grow my workout business, trying to grow this podcast, trying to do music and learn how to work this new software and equipment I have, and whatever else I'm forgetting to mention. And it's all been getting to me. And I find myself wanting to do less. I find myself getting to the point where I'm like, man, do I really have to do 3 episodes this week? Do I really need to record new movements for my workout business? Do I really want to stay up another hour and finish this thing? And I have to remind myself of my standards, of all the things I've been doing consistently to get me this far, of all the routines and habits from my standards that's been paying off for me. And I think about how far I came, and I know I don't want to go back. And I think about how far I want to go. And I have to check myself from time to time and keep going to fight that urge of wanting to self-sabotage by not doing the work. So think about areas that you can improve on, areas you need to improve on, and how you can change that standard in your brain, how you can make yourself not ever drop below your new standard. So that's what I got for you today. If you like this episode, please share it with somebody that can benefit from this, somebody who is a friend or a family member, somebody who has goals and is trying to improve their lives. So thank you again, and let's get it in.